Today it may appear very simple. I think you might remember I say the three-step process of understanding and the practice is very important in Eastern wisdom or to succeed in uh, meditation. First is I don't know, let me know it. You may remember. I don't understand, let me understand it. And the third step is I don't experience, so let me practice it. So once you have that experience, then your life starts changing. So
I didn't understand that.
last week we covered I don't know, let me know it. The process of understanding, process and the method of listening, reading or studying, and knowing the principle. Like Newton's law, let's take a Newton's law of motion. Action and reaction is equal and opposite. So, do I understand the principle as it is? So, here we are not arguing, we have a clarity of understanding the principle. That is what we covered last week. So, today we are covering the step number 17. The master says, contemplate and reflect upon the meaning and the essence of the principles of Eastern wisdom. So the second step is I don't understand, let me understand it. So let me understand it. It means I have to ask questions, I have to apply logic, I have to put the reasoning. But at the same time, I should not rely totally on the logic. Logic it too as its sword. Say, for example, if Jonathan is well informed, he has read 50 books about a particular topic, so he can defeat us by logic and reasoning. So, logic it too as its sword. So, the logic and the reasoning has to be done with reference to what we have heard. Take one example. Peace is my essential nature. So majority of the people say to me, you say it, do you have a stress? Who doesn't have a stress in the modern life? Now see the logic. Now who doesn't have the stress? So I stick to that point of view that there is a stress and suffering in the world and I cannot get out of the stress and the suffering, then this peace is my essential nature. That principle is already diluted and it is gone. So we are studying what is manan in Sanskrit. This step is known as manan, contemplation and reflection. Your mind is scattered, attached, full of duality and conflict, swinging like a pendulum, and then you apply this principle. So, what happens when you apply this principle? The mind leaves every thought coming from outside. The intellect becomes clear. Clarity is there. There is a doubt free state of the intellect. So, what happens in that state? Now, that intellect inspires you from inside to get absorbed in meditation. Then meditation becomes a play and fun. So now see that I gave a very simple phrase of this step. I don't understand, let me understand it. But the master says we have to go deeper into understanding what is this manan, this step number 17. That contemplation and reflection, that contemplation and reflection clears your mind. It prevents the mind to wander, to get distracted, and at the same time, it purifies the intellect. So, if you succeed in this step, the meditation is a play and fun. So, now understand, if you take this first previous step, the last week that we have done, that is why when I say I spent 26 years listening to the master. So now see the logic. So one guy told me, you are fool. Why you have to spend 26 years listening to the master? Why you have been listening to the same practice, same principle again and again? That is also a right logic, appears a right logic. But by listening again and again, the principle becomes clear. The opposite principles, the opposing thoughts do not remain in the mind. What is the opposing thought? Now I am revealing. Today my mind was upset, and though that is why I did not succeed in meditation. Did you understand that? So when you are sharing your experiences, so I catch it. I don't express it, but I know what is happening. Same thing, there is no clarity. I did not understand. No, I understood, and still this process that we are talking today is not clear in the intellect. So Shravan, I don't know, let me know it, is the first step that we covered last week. And today we are understanding Manan. I don't understand, let me understand. Can we understand by a real life story of a Buddha? Let us understand it. Buddha, at the age of 40, left home, leaving his beautiful wife and a small kid. For 6 years, he approached many masters. He was already a seeker. In the kingdom, while living in the kingdom, he had become a seeker, intensified his search for the truth. He became a seeker when he left the house. He was prepared and ready to undertake any practice. For 6 years, he met many masters. So, say for one master said, you have to sleep on the floor, whether it is cold or hot, on a concrete, on the stones. Another master said, you have to eat only once a day. He was reduced to skeleton. When he was sleeping on the floor, on the stones, his body was continuing paining. Pain and the suffering continues. But he never let any master down. That is the intensity of a seeker. And the other master said that you have to recite this mantra. I don't remember the names of those masters. It is written in a lot of text. Anyhow, so one master said you have to recite Like, for example, Om Namah Shivaya, you have to do it 10 million times, 20,000 repetition every day. He did it. Nothing happened. Now understand where the manan starts. I'm taking you slowly. Many masters ultimately were defeated. Why they were defeated? They said you have to repeat this mantra 10 million times. He did it, and the master raised his hand because master didn't knew it. What is awakening and what is realization? No, I don't know too much. So he went to the second master, but he followed every practice with conviction. So where comes the manan? But Buddha was contemplating every time. One master in Haridwar in Rishikesh, where Lara went, when we happened to go together, I will take you to that monastery. So when he realized that this guy is well read with all the text, and he said, why don't you become a vice second monk of the monastery? I will provide you everything, all the facilities. I said, I have come here to learn something. I am in search of something. I have not come here to you give me a label. So I realized that he doesn't know anything, and silently I walked away. Anyhow, coming to the master, Buddha was always contemplated and reflected while doing all these practices. Now see that what happened. After doing all the penance and austerity and the practices, he was sitting under a tree. Intellect was contemplating, mind was contemplating. I did penance. I slept on the floor with the stones. I was feeling an extreme pain in my body. But why I am doing this? To discover permanent peace and happiness. To discover permanent peace and happiness. Why I am taking one meal a day and my body is reduced to skeleton? To secure permanent peace and happiness. Now see, that is an individual practice, personal practice. If you don't think, if you do not start thinking about these principles within yourself, the meditation will not succeed. That is very clear. That is how. So he started thinking about it, contemplating. And suddenly what happened? In the mind, he has a revelation. Am I in peace now? Yes. So when I left all the practices, when I completed all the penance, I'm in peace. There is another revelation. What is that revelation? Why to torture my body for the sake of peace in the mind? Do you understand that? These thoughts started entering into his mind. And at that time, there were 6 friends, means 6 disciples who were doing the practices under that master, a beautiful women. You know, there is always a role of beautiful women everywhere. Huh? So that women came with dessert. That dessert is known as kheer in India. When the uh, rice is cooked in the milk, cream, and added sugar, so it is known as kheer. So in earlier days and nowadays also, the monks are respected, adored, and they are offered food. So she brought that kheer and she offered it to the first student. He refused. My master told me that I have to live on one meal a day. I am doing austerity. Go away. Don't come to me. Same thing happened with the 5 students. When that beautiful woman with the key approached Buddha, at that time revelation was already happened. Revelation already took place, which proved inside the Buddha's mind that these austerities are of no use. After he has done it, remember, it is not that we can simply say, no, I know this austerity will not work. I have not done it. And he accepted the desert. The mind and intellect was clear, totally clear. He took it. He again experienced the calmness revealed within after doing the contemplation. He was contemplating still. His eyes was closed. He was got absorbed into the meditation, or what we say, mindfulness. It was the last master, Alar Kalam, who saw him there. And who took him under a Bodhi tree, and he achieved the highest state of mindfulness. So he was taken away by this master under a Bodhi tree. He realized that state. He ran to all his 5 friends and he said, I have found it. Leave this master. This master is not going to help you. You have to follow a middle path. That very process and the first teaching of the Buddha is known as Dharma Chakra Parivartan. It's a very famous story. So now understand the role of a Manan contemplation. If the previous step last week we did it, means I do not know, let me know it. This step means I don't understand, let me understand it. What is this Manan means? It means the belief on the principle that I heard last week, pending inquiry. Faith pending inquiry. It is not blind faith. Yes, I agree with you that peace is my essential nature. Now I have to see, I have to think about myself. Is peace, happiness, are my essential nature? I have to ask questions. What it means? Manan, this step is a personal practice. This manan is a personal practice. Understand what my master also used to say. If this step is 100% clear, you have started contemplating and reflecting, 50% of your success is already achieved. And the rest 50% will be achieved by the practice. Because now your mind is clear. Your mind is not going to wander anywhere. The intellect will not allow your mind to get distracted, even if there is a discomfort in the body, and you will achieve success. What this Manan means, literally. Manan literally means to think, reflect. Meditation also, it also means meditation or a beginning of a meditation. So when you ask questions and understand the principle by yourself, this is purely a personal practice. That is why we have a couple of Upanishads known as, their meaning is as if you are spending the time in solitude. Like Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the greater forest Upanishad, means that you are spending time in solitude even for 5 or 10 minutes. Solitude means that now you are spending time with yourself. So see that, Yajnavalkya, I remember he says the real significance of the principles of Manan is that it is an inquiry into the significance of the principle. What is the principle? Take an example. Happiness is my essential nature. So your intellect perceives that significance. It becomes 100% clear. Same thing Patanjali did. You'll be surprised, Lara. In the third chapter, the first sutra, Desabandhasya Chetasya Dharana, which normally is translated as focus of the mind. It is not focus of the mind, it is the manan, it is contemplation and reflection. Let me give another way to make you understand. You confine the territory of the mind on that principle. What it means? The home is a territory confined to move into the space which is already confined. So you have bedroom, you have restroom, you have living room, you have patio, that's all. Same thing, the mind and the intellect should be confined within the territory of a principle. So when that is confined within the territory of a principle, the mind is not going to wander, and ultimately you achieve this step is a knowledge practice. This is basically a knowledge practice, if you say so. You are contemplating and reflecting on that principle. It is a content. Now, let us understand some of the things. If you don't practice manan, the conflict, the duality, the opposing thoughts will continue to be present and the mind will disturb you in meditation. Manan is a logical thinking. Logic is neutral, like a knife that can be used to cut vegetable, or knife is neutral. So it means the previous 15 steps makes your mind neutral. It does not allow to go with your likes and dislikes. Logic may lead to reaction, fight. So the first 15 step helps you to remove that reaction. Our reasoning in this step should be depend on the principles of Eastern wisdom. Now, this contemplation, this step is a doubt removing device. There are two parts of it. One is doubt removing device, the other is it is also a truth validation device. Where is my essential nature? My essential nature is real self. It is of the nature of pure consciousness. So, by understanding, contemplating individually in solitude every day, it validates the principle. One, it removes all the doubts. Now, if you don't have any doubt, will there be any problem in the practice of meditation? Ask yourself. There will be no doubt, and it is already verified. My master used to say in a very layman's language, think, think. Are you in stress? Close your eyes and think. Leave the effect of the stress, go to the cause. My mind says, my honey is responsible for my stress. So your next question is, not that how to get rid of that honey, but how the stress can enter in me when she is so far. Doubt removing device. Do you see that? Do you see the point? Doubt removing device. Where I experience the stress, I am experiencing the stress in my mind. But can my honey enter into my mind if I don't allow the entry? Example, it cannot allow. You see, it's a very subtle process of reflecting on the very nature of the mind that gives me an experience of the stress. So as you continue the journey, what will happen? The intellect comes to a conclusion. Will you remember that in your life? Especially the younger ones. I am responsible for my suffering, and I'm responsible for my happiness in my life. No one else. If Lara, you are the cause of my stress, then you have a remote. Then I don't have a free will. Then I cannot choose anything. You push the button and I'm in stress. You release the button, I'm free from this. Can I reach to that state? What did I say? Truth validation device. I validate. Whatever I validate, I'm responsible for my stress and I'm responsible for my happiness. And doubt removing device. Lara can never be responsible for my stress and suffering in my life. This much I need to think inside myself. Nobody can think of me. Now see the wrong logic for a minute and then we will go and practice. Normally people, why don't you understand, teacher? Many people say me, why don't you understand? He has been doing like this, that makes me crazy. Now your mind is impure, mind is not ready to listen because you have not done all the 15 steps before. Your mind is not going to listen to it. Do you understand that? It is not going to listen to it. So when it is not listening, then we'll say, let us go to, I have another beautiful woman. I don't tell you, in the vicinity, in one of the 2 years ago. So she had a lot of problems in relationship and she said, I like you, I love you. She was saying to me, I understand the principle, but my honey is not listening to me. That is why I am in stress. You have not done those 15 steps. Your mind is not clear. It cannot arrive at a conclusion that I am responsible for my stress and I am responsible for my happiness. So I normally do not ask for, once I say here are my fees, and then I continue the journey. So almost for 8 sessions, she did not pay me for about a year. But I said she is beautiful. But after a year, she reread the text and she sent me, oh my gosh, I did not pay you. How much I need to pay you? So I reduced another 20%. I said, we have done 10 sessions minus 20%. She paid me. That happens. That happens in life. So now I see one point, that every person has that point of clarity, deeper insight. Every person lives in that wisdom. This step helps you to clear and brings that wisdom in the front. Brings that wisdom in the front. So when you are ready to practice meditation, the moment you sit in a pose, you leave the body. The moment you are sitting and I say you are comfortable, the mind moves clearly with the purity on the body and you become comfortable. When I say start doing quick and short breath, that is what we have been doing in this practice, the mind says, okay, what a big deal, let me do it. Tell me to do it for 20 minutes, I can do it. No, we are not doing 20 minutes today. So I'm just you see that intensity, that will and the determination enters into your head. That is the role of this contemplation. And now whenever you have a stress and you lie down on your back and the mind moves and starts thinking about this stress, and it is making a cycle, it is moving in a circle. He is responsible for this stress, he did this, I hate him, I dislike him. Again it repeats. We are not able to break this circle. Are you understanding? You might have experienced this many a times in your life. So this step breaks that vicious circle and it leaves you totally free. And once the mind is pure by the 15 steps and the intellect is doubt free, it has a clarity, it has an understanding where your mind will wander. There is no chance. And you succeed in meditation. Let us start our journey, our practice. Eyes are closed. Stays one position of the body and mind is facing within. Body is steady, mind is facing within. So why it is facing within? It is looking at the space and emptiness or darkness. In that darkness, do you experience, I say, 1% of calmness? No doubt. Nobody will refuse. You see that? How I have been giving you that step of how you think in the instructions. So you feel 1% of the calmness, then I challenge your mind because your mind has done all the 15 steps. So I challenge your mind by how? Can you maintain awareness of the continuity of the calmness? You did not create it. You are aware. You experience. And we settle that calmness, move the mind from the crown of the head to the toes, to all the joints of the body. All the joints? Yes. And when you are aware of the joints, you feel the sensation. So I'm taking your mind at a subtler level. Experience sensation, being comfortable, and steadiness. Second step is done. Third step being carefree. You see that? Truth validation tool being applied. Doubt removing device is being used. In after understanding that, we experience all these thoughts come from outside. Let them come, let them stay, let them leave. I am different from these thoughts. That is what I have been giving you by different metaphors. The huh? I was giving you the waves on the surface of the ocean, and deep inside the water is calm. Our great master Vivekananda says, step back. Thoughts are there, step back. Traffic is there, step back. So, what do you realize? Step back, that you are different from the traffic of the thoughts entering into the mind, is being carefree. And the fourth step in the stage one is being casual. You get a glimpse that if you experience separated from the thought as well as from the body, you experience where there is no stress and suffering in the world. It is because of me who is attached. That is the meaning of being casual and natural today. But we continue. It's a journey. In the stage two, we purify the mind. You have a conviction, you have a clarity in this step, and you look inside the belly button in the space. Why, I ask you? So that you can maintain awareness of the calmness on one side of the mind, and the other side of the mind is allowed to act. How do you act? You start breathing from the belly, quick, short breath. Continue. Continue. Quick, short breath. And the mind is still aware of the calmness behind, deep inside. Continue. And stop this. Start inhaling deep, silent, slow breathing. Remember, it is totally deep, silent, and slow. Inhalation should remain deep, silent, and slow. Means what? First you inhale into the belly, then into the rib cage, and your lips remain together, and you start doing the humming sound while exhaling. Deep, loud, longer, deeper, while keeping your mind deep inside the forehead. We understood that part, that humming sound, the M sound of the Om creates vibration inside the center of the knowledge. Now link this with the step we have understood, the manan. Now you can easily understand. We are asking the intellect to remain pure, simple, clear, free from the doubt, to continue the journey. Continue, my friends. The inhalation should take time, so the exhalation and the humming should also take time. How do I express it? Your next inhalation and the exhalation should be longer, deeper than the previous one. Why I say so? To absorb the mind deeper within. You are understanding every small step in the journey of this meditation. You see, with that process, I appreciate the body is still now, steady, as if you laid off the body. Transcending the body doesn't mean you give extreme pain, what Buddha realized. When the body is comfortable, it is steady, it is calm and relaxed. You don't even feel the body during the day. See that. Now stop this humming sound, but continue to inhale and exhale deep, silent, slow, with the mind moving from the crown of the head to the tailbone and from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Two things in the space. Now you see the space and you are dropping Om Shanti 5 times. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. So even during inhalation and exhalation. So see that even if your inhalation takes, say for example, 10 seconds, exhalation takes 10 seconds. So one breath is 20 seconds. 1 minute, you have 3 breaths in a minute. What it does to the brain, the science is fully aware of it. They have a beautiful instrument known as respiratory biofeedback. So you have a natural biofeedback now with Om Shanti. In psychology and physiological psychology, we use this biofeedback instruments. I have used it for conducting a couple of research studies long back. the mind goes into deeper state of relaxation. The intellect remains clear, purified. We can take this mind deeper. So stop this Om Shanti. Continue with the deeper breath. We move into the stage 3, moving the mind is a driver with a deep silent slow breath inside the right arm in the space. The space is the highway. Car is the driver. No, car is the driver or the mind. Breath is the vehicle. Breath is the car. Moving inside. Where inside the right arm? In the space that helps you to transcend the body completely. When we say sannyasa, the knowledge behind that sannyasa means all round complete purification. That is why I term this step as sannyasa. Moving the mind inside the left arm now. All around purification, 100%. So when it is 100%, what happens? You are ready to get absorbed into meditation. Look at the approach we are taking in this journey. We are understanding every bit of it. And now, moving the mind inside the right leg. The mind with the breath. Breath is the car, the mind is the driver, the space inside is the highway, and we find highway is empty. You learn from your experience. Highway is empty means what? You know it. Moving the mind inside the left leg. Stage 3. What we will do in the future sessions, that will more or less will keep these steps intact. But we will make these steps very subtle, subtler, subtlest. That is one way to treat the path. The other way that you need to do a lot of practice is now moving the mind inside the spine, from the crown of the head to the tailbone, from the tailbone to the crown of the head. You are aware of the space, the highway, with the breath going in as a car, the mind is driving it. You may undergo a variety of experiences, including tingling, numbness, freezing, heat, cold, sweating, colors, vision. What should we do? Recognize, accept them, continue the journey. And I'll leave the step moving to the stage 4, superimposing Om Shanti. It is such a beautiful, natural, gentle step. You keep looking the calmness, the continuity of the calmness inside the head or the heart in the space. You see, I changed my expression today. And in that state of continuity of the calmness, you will realize whenever any thought comes, superimpose Om Shanti. You know the story, always answer Om Shanti. I come to your house and you ask me. So any thought enters into the mind, you superimpose Om Shanti and you discover calmness is already there. Why these masters say get rid of all these thoughts? It veils that calmness inside. Continue. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. No thought is there. Remain in that state. And now leave the step stage 5 gently, walking at the crown of the head inside and dropping gently Om, looking behind that Om. Walking inside the forehead, dropping Om, looking behind. So Om becomes the center of the wisdom inside the forehead. Om inside the heart becomes the center of pure emotion. Inside the belly, the center of action. And then raise your mind from the belly button to enter into a deeper experience to the crown of the head. And stop this. Last step, Now see, in that deeper state, you are looking at the breath going in and out, feeling the sensation, and no change in the rate and the rhythm of the breath. This step can be said as a real breath mindfulness. Normally, what we say, focus on the breath. No, that will not. That works. It relaxes for a while, but mindfulness? No. Almost in a state of doing nothing. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind to the right hand. See if the mind is ready to lift your arm. That is how you are able to see the dispassion. And the mind goes to the left hand. Lift both the palms, place it on your closed eyes, open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We have two things to go. We will share our experiences, and as usual, you can ask